Hey everyone, I hope y'all are having a great day, and today I'll be reviewing Every Last Word by Tamara Stone. And I know when I look this book up, the white balance goes super whack and I look like I took a bath in bronzer, so just bear with me. I'm probably going to keep the book down for most of this review because of that. But just for the intro, I was sent this book by Disney-Hyperion in exchange for an honest review, so thank you so much, Disney-Hyperion. For those who don't know, this is a new release. It came out June 16th, 2015. And it's about a girl named Samantha who on the outside is one of the popular girls. It seems like her life is easy and put together, but secretly what she doesn't let anyone know, including her best friends, is that she is in a constant battle with her mind. Samantha has OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder, and it's a mental illness that makes her feel afraid of herself and not comfortable in her own body. And because of that, she hides it from everyone, including her best friends. But Samantha, who likes to be known as Sam, meets a new friend, and this new friend introduces her to this thing called Poets Corner, where a group of kids meet like twice a week and share poetry that they've written. It's a really supportive community, and the new friends that she makes in Poets Corner really begin to change her life and make her feel comfortable and accepted. And this book is really a story about Samantha and her growth and her acceptance. This story is just so beautiful. I really enjoyed it. I thought Tamara Stone did a fantastic job handling this sensitive subject, and Samantha, the main character, felt like a real person. I felt like I knew her, and at some times I could really relate to her. But yeah, I thought this book was just really well done. I want to mention the following things just in case some viewers/readers need this kind of thing, but trigger warnings include mental illness, anxiety, depression, and suicide. Depression and suicide aren't too big of topics in this story. They don't relate to the main character, but they are involved in the story, so if any of those things that I mentioned are things that you try to avoid, then maybe this book isn't the best thing for you to read. Otherwise, I think I would recommend this book to everyone. I think the story is just so beautiful. The development and growth of Samantha is fantastic. This book is surprisingly easy to read. The pages just fly by, and even though the topic itself is very serious, it never feels heavy, like it doesn't weigh you down when you're reading. I thought the plot was really well paced. Sometimes there are big jumps in time, and those jumps happen because nothing eventful happens in those weeks or months, so the jumps don't really affect the flow of the story at all. Because the story was so focused on Samantha, I think the other characters felt pretty flat. Outside of the love interest, the other kids of Poets Corner were only faintly sketched out. But I didn't exactly mind that because, like I said, this story is very, very focused on our main character, Sam, and Sam is a very detailed, layered, realistic character. I don't think the writing itself is particularly spectacular. It's easy to read, which is great, but it isn't really noteworthy. And in the book, you get to read poems that the other kids of Poets Corner have shared or written, and rarely did those impress me or leave any kind of impact at all for that matter, which sounds pretty mean, but it kind of takes a lot to impress me stylistically. So even though the writing itself didn't really draw any attention, that is okay. Because the beauty of this book is not in the writing style, it's in the story, it's in the arc, it's in the development of the main character, it's in the careful way that the author approached this topic. I cried for nearly the entire last 50 pages or so of this book, and I really cannot explain to you why. This book wasn't even sad. There's a plot twist that I'll talk about later in the spoiler section, but it's not something that's gonna make you cry. But I was sobbing. I think I was crying because I was so proud of the main character as she began to understand and accept herself, because that was just so beautiful to read about. But I definitely wasn't crying because I was sad. I guess I was just crying because the book was so good. I really don't know, but I was just crying a lot in the end. I was a mess. I needed tissues. That being said, I feel like everyone should know that I cry at everything. I cried watching Pitch Perfect 2, and that had 0 sad scenes. I'm just a big crybaby. Okay, but moving on. I thought I knew what OCD was. I thought it was just when people were obsessively neat and organized, like they had to have this specific color pen in this specific container, and they had to organize their folders in this certain order, but that's not really what it is. Or in some cases, it's just a very slim part of what it is. So this book really opened my eyes as to what OCD is. I think I had this misconception of this illness because of the way people use OCD, the term. People use it or say they have it without any foundation or diagnosis. For example, just last weekend, I was volunteering at a local hospital and my supervisor was cleaning up the room and said, "Oh, I just like to keep things neat. I have OCD." But Do you really? Because I don't think you do. And of course, I'm in no position to diagnose someone or contest someone else's diagnosis, but I just think we overuse the term OCD without actually understanding everything that it entails. And I think when we do that, I think when we overuse it or use it in a case where it's not exactly applicable, it weakens the actual meaning and perpetuates this misconception of the illness. Like Sam, the main character, isn't neat, but she definitely has OCD. So I think reading this book helped me be at least a little bit more aware of the disease. And of course, I'm still extremely far from being any kind of expert, but at least it showed me and opened my eyes to a common error that I was making. I normally would not be interested in reading a book like this one, just because I don't tend to read contemporaries that are about serious topics, but I kept hearing good things about it, and after reading it, I think those good things are definitely very well deserved. This book is really great. I think it's really important. I think it artfully and skillfully brings a new topic to young adult literature that I haven't really seen before. So major props to Tamara Ireland Stone for not only writing a book about OCD, but writing a great book about OCD. Actually, I shouldn't really say that because that makes it sound like this book is just about OCD, but it's not. It's about Samantha, who happens to have OCD. And in the book, Samantha learns and discovers and realizes that OCD doesn't define her, and I think similarly, OCD doesn't define this book. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I think it's very important, and I think that it was just so well done. That's it for the non-spoiler section, so if you haven't read Every Last Word by Tamara Ireland Stone, I don't know how Christine does that, that was a disaster, then I advise you to leave now because spoiler section starts in 3, 2, 1, now. I actually don't have too much to say in the spoiler section except for the fact that Caroline Madsen was dead the entire time. She wasn't real. Everything Caroline did or helped Samantha do was actually just Samantha by herself the entire time. And what? I was actually skimming the book because I had felt that something was up. Like the tension and the suspense of the book was rising and I was like, what is going on? So I skipped ahead and I got to the part where AJ was like, dude, Caroline Madsen committed suicide in 2007. And it just shook up my world. I was just so shocked, like I was chilled. And had I not skipped ahead, had I continued reading normally, maybe I would have like picked up on the clues on my own and it wouldn't have been a surprise to me. But because I did skip ahead, I was just, whoa. What? I don't know, I was just so shocked. I immediately texted my friend and I was like, oh my god, something just happened in the book that I'm reading, and I seriously felt like I was hollow for a solid minute. It was like my stomach had dropped. And it's weird because this twist, this plot twist that like a character was actually dead the entire time, that's not new. You know, I've seen that in quite a few books, but it still somehow managed to leave me winded. I love the way Sam reacted to the truth. At first she was just freaking out. Me too, girl, you were not alone. But eventually she learned to accept the fact that she had made Caroline up. And I actually really liked that Samantha missed her. Caroline was like a real friend to her. She was like her best friend. And so it felt very natural for Sam to miss her. While I was reading actually, and before we knew that Caroline was dead, I was seriously thinking to myself, wow, do people like Caroline exist in real life? Are people actually this nice and sweet? So it made sense to me that Sam was so into their friendship. At first, when we found out that Caroline was dead and that Samantha had just like made her up, I was honestly so creeped out. I couldn't help it. I was just really creeped out. But eventually, like Sam, I learned to accept it and see it as something that was actually kind of beautiful, because Caroline was like the most effective and best like medication that Samantha could have possibly had. The best and most effective coping mechanism. Caroline really encouraged Sam to break out of her shell and become the person that she really wanted to be. And I loved that. Caroline just had this massive positive impact on Sam, and Sam was like, oh my god, I feel so normal. And so I think anything that brings out that kind of positive impact in somebody is just great. It's fantastic. I think that's literally all I wanted to mention in the spoiler section actually. Just the fact that Caroline was dead and I was so shocked. I actually didn't care too much about AJ. I thought it was just meh. I mean, he's a really nice guy and I do think he's good for Sam, but like, I don't really care about him. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Every Last Word by Tamara Ireland Stone. The white balance is going crazy again. Let me know what you thought of it. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Did it surprise you? Because it really surprised me. Not only plot-wise, just the book itself. I didn't expect it to like it as much as I did, and I didn't expect it to affect me as severely as it did. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and happy reading. Goodbye!